Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Tuesday, 30th April 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillian Group. 5 males and 1 female arraigned in school brawl in the Bahamas. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. 8 Mile Rock High School students arraigned in connection with a brawl that occurred at the school. Jolanda Thompson-Everest of ZNS News reports.
A brawl at the 8 Mile Rock High School resulting in 6 juveniles arraigned before Magistrate Simone Brown in 8 Mile Rock on serious charges. The 5 males and 1 female were between the ages of 17 and 19 were charged with grievous harm, sending out a strong message that this behavior will not be tolerated. It was an emotional moment for parents and guardians at the 8 Mile Rock Courthouse who were all in attendance to support their loved ones involved in the ordeal. The courtroom crowded but filled with silence as Magistrate Brown shared on Monday, the 22nd of April 2024, while at 8 Mile Rock High School, the accused did unlawfully cause grievous harm to Sergeant 2830 Colebrook. Brown further explained to the juveniles that this is a matter that can proceed at the magistrate's court or the Supreme Court before a judge or jury. Brown then asked each defendant, after consultation with their counsel, where would they like the matter to proceed. They all pleaded not guilty and shared that their preference is the magistrate's court. The 19-year-old defendant, however, was also arraigned for ruining the officer's uniform and was given another bail in the amount of $5,000. Attorney at law Parker Deal, who was also representing 2 of the 5 males, expressed that today was not a good feeling. He says that the incident is one which is not a good look for the community and that everyone involved is doing all they can to come to some kind of closure.
It's not good for our students. It's not good for our schools. It's not good for the authority that we place in the school to be challenged. And so we're just doing all that we can to bring this to some conclusion.
The attorney says that this case can be used as an example for students who want to participate in gang violence.
We go to school for our education. We go to school to be taught obedience and discipline. We don't go to school to challenge authority. We don't go to school to pretend that we're in charge. We don't go to school to indulge in wrongdoing. We go to school to educate ourselves to try and become progressive and productive citizens.
The 6 students were all released on bail in the amount of $7,500 and were ordered to sign in at the 8 Mile Rock Police Station every Monday before 6 p.m. The adjourned date for this matter is on June 5th, 2024. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Jolanda Thompson-Everest.
Over in Jamaica, a 14-year-old Irwin High School student charged with murder of schoolmate. Details in this TVJ News item.
The 14-year-old Irwin High School student implicated in the fatal stabbing of a 15-year-old Ranil Plummer was charged with murder on Wednesday. He was brought before the courts today. Commanding officer for the St. James Police Division, Superintendent Aaron Samuels, provided this update.
He was granted bail and is not to be residing in the parish of St. James. We continue to offer support to the Irwin High School, ramping up our patrols within the space and also our community safety and safe school activities. We are urging students within the parish of St. James to please find different ways to settle disputes.
Reports are that Ranil was outside the school gates of Irwin High School when he was approached by the student along with a group of boys. A knife was later used to stab him. He was rushed to hospital where he was pronounced dead.
Even under the best care in the world, 1 in every 10 newborns in a newborn unit gets an infection. This from pediatrician Dr. David Bratt. Speaking on the Altos program on Catholic News TV, he said the situation which occurred at the Port of Spain General Hospital, resulting in the deaths of neonates, is not unique to Trinidad and Tobago. Mahalia Joseph Wharton of TTT News has more.
I've done some reviews and I talked to the neonatologist, and it turns out that in the best of care in the world, about 1 in every 10 babies in a newborn unit gets an infection. Not all of them die, but the infection is incredibly common. It's 10%. It's very, very high.
Pediatrician Dr. David Bratt is hopeful that one of the suggestions of the Pan American Health Organization team, which reviewed the incident at the Port of Spain General Hospital's NICU, would be the implementation of upgraded neonatal units at public health institutions and more neonatologists and nurses specialized in neonatal care, as he said there is a need for this.
The nurses are so important in any intensive care unit. They are really the one. We can't continue with this 1 to 3. One nurse taking care of 3 premature babies, 1 to 4 in some. That is not what is called a level 3, which is what we're looking for. So that is what I hope is going to come out of this.
Between April 4th and 9th, 7 babies died from a bacterial infection. Since then, more parents who have lost their babies outside of this time frame have come forward claiming that their babies died due to negligence. But Dr. Bratt explained that it will be difficult to determine those claims.
That's going to be difficult to do and going to be difficult to prove. Babies, unfortunately, as I said, in the best of hands, premature babies are going to die.
Even with the deaths of the 7 babies between April 4th and 9th, he said parents should not be fearful to let their newborns receive care at the public health institutions.
People need to know this. The private sector cannot take care of premature babies. They can't. The private sector cannot take care of children, by and large. Any child who's seriously ill needs to go to Mount Hope or to San Fernando Hospital or Sangre Grande. I'm not clear about the other hospitals. I'm not sure what is going on there. And people need to understand this. The private sector can't take care of seriously ill children. It's the public sector which is doing a reasonably good job, in my view.
While many are concerned about the emotional state of the parents, a thought should also be spared for the medical team.
I feel sorry for the pediatrician, for the neonatologist too, because it's heartbreaking. And I was speaking to one of them last week, and she was just torn up about what is happening. But then the nurses are grieving. These are nurses that work hard in situations that are not the best, and they do their best most of the time. And yet now they seem to be being blamed for what is happening, and I don't think that is right.
At the end of the PAHO review, a final report will be submitted to the Ministry of Health. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago has been asked by the Cabinet to deliberate on the report of the Commission of Inquiry into the attempted coup and advise the Cabinet on what recommendations can be adopted. More in this TTT News item.
In the lower house, the opposition questioned whether government intends to act on the recommendation for compensation to be given to those who were held hostage, traumatized and injured during the attempted coup. Responding to question, Leader of Government's Business Terence Dialsing indicated that the Attorney General has been tasked with examining the legal options.
The UNC, who commissioned the inquiry, did absolutely nothing. We have taken the step to have the Honorable Attorney General have the report studied and advise the Cabinet what are the various legal options going forward.
In the meantime, chaos erupted during the THA plenary session as presiding officer and minority leader clashed.
Reject this attempt to be muzzled, and I will play absolutely no further part in this debate.
Minutes into a plenary sitting in Tobago, Minority Leader Kelvin Morris rejected a motion he brought for debate. The debate did not kick off as Morris and Presiding Officer Ambi Taylor squared off in the chamber. Morris, upset over amendments to his motion, calling for the resumption of negotiations between Tobago and the Sanders Hotel chain. But the Presiding Officer chided the Minority Leader for publicly accusing her of misconduct.
The attempt to misrepresent the office of the Presiding Officer cannot and will not be tolerated.
And it didn't take long for Morris to hit back.
I strongly object to the changes, especially the third recital that was made to the original motion.
Minority Leader, please be seated. I would have just given a ruling.
Morris eventually rejected his own motion.
It will go against my very conscience as a patriot of Tobago and a responsible member of this House to debate this motion in its amended form as altered by the presiding officer.
He then left and the sit-in suspended. Morris denied that he had disrespected the presiding officer and the chamber. He told CNC3 that he respectfully stated his point and left because he refused to contribute to a motion that misrepresents the minority council. Elizabeth Gonzalez, CNC3 News.
Vincent Alexander, the chair of the International Decade for People of African Descent Assembly in Guyana, IPADG, has expressed concerns that the government is apprehensive about the organization's planned programs. Alexander suggests that the government's unease stems from a belief that there is no need for special attention to the issues IPADG aims to address. HDP's Dacia Richards covers the story in more detail.
That the government would have had a problem with IPADG from the very inception because IPADG's existence called for a special program.
Alexander claimed that the government has its reasons which are well known for attempting to derail and discredit the work of the organization. The government has made claims that the program has decreased in its membership, but the chair has put such claims to rest, but noted that while there are few complaints, the organization continues to grow and receive needed support.
And between that time and now, our membership, unlike what the government is attempting to say, has not decreased. Our membership has gone up. We started off in 2018 with 17 organizations crafting the charter and the articles. We grew to 68 organizations. And even after the suspension of the subvention, we have grown further to 78 organizations.
He added that while the body is well aware of the long and short-term needs of people of African descent, it continues to face the challenge of meeting financial expectations of persons. IPADG operates as an umbrella body for African Guyanese groups and organizations dedicated to ensuring respect, protection, and fulfillment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms of African descendants are upheld. For AGP Nightly News, I am Dacia Richards.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.